Girl, you know what's also crazy? When I was like 14 years old, I had this stalker, but I didn't know he was stalking me. I just thought he like really liked me. So growing up, I had a group of 3 best friends, and us 3 girls met another group of guys that were 3 best friends. In our barely developed brains, we were like, you know what would be so cool if each one of us started talking to one of those guys. So pues yo empecé a hablar with this one guy. And this guy asked me so many times, ¿puedes ser mi novia? And I constantly kept telling him like, hey, I just want to be friends, because I felt like it was a little bit obsessive. But it was fine because at the time I was young and dumb and I liked the attention. A couple weeks go by and I am playing soccer across the street from my mom's house in this little park that they have there. Somebody kicked the ball over the fence, so my cousin goes to retrieve it. As he's going for the ball, there's somebody driving the car like really slow. My cousin has a conversation with him, and then he comes and he's like, hey, somebody's looking for you. I'm like, who? He's like, the guy that's driving the car asked for you. So I'm like walking towards this car, and then I'm like, oh, it's the guy. I'm like, hey, ¿qué estás haciendo aquí? Like, what's going on? He's like, oh, like I was going to a friend's house. I was like, wow, this is just such a small world. He's like, oh, you play soccer here? I was like, yes. Like, I come here every so often to play with the people from my high school. He's like, oh, that's really fun. I just wanted to say hi. And he leaves. Keep in mind, I've never told this man where I live. I've never told him that I play soccer in this area. I've never told him who my cousin is. It was weird that he asked my cousin to ask me to come talk to him. Super weird. I didn't pay much mind to it at the time. I didn't think about it. I was 14 years old. So this happened on a Tuesday because the next day was a church day. So it's Wednesday. I'm at church and they're singing the songs. I'm like, oh, Jesus. When I feel somebody come and sit next to me, I turn around and it's the guy. Keep in mind, at this point, I'm freaking out porque yo tengo Latino parents. And they're just staring at me like, who's that guy? Like, why is he here? And why is he sitting next to you? Even ahorcar, like, you know, like they're very strict parents. So that's why I'm freaking out. I was just freaking out about my parents. I didn't even think about how does he know what church I go to? So on Wednesdays, they had a time, the testimonios. They would just allow anybody to come up and tell us why they were grateful for that week. This dude goes up in the middle of the service, grabs the mic, and it's like, I want to thank God for everything that he has done. He saved my life. And I want to thank Evelyn. Me? He's like, because she invited me to church. She doesn't know what this did for me. Me? I invited you. Yo no tengo demencia esquizofrénica or something because I don't remember cuando yo te invité. Like, I don't remember. I didn't invite him. After service, I'm like, silly boy, you know I didn't invite you. What were you saying? He's like, I just wanted to give you the credit. I asked your cousin what church you went to, and he gave me the address, and I just wanted to surprise you. What? So then I let that slide because I was like, maybe he was in need of Jesus. And who am I to stop the work de Dios in his life? So he kept coming to church on and off for a couple weeks. And like 2 weeks later, he sends me a text and he's like, hey, open your window. I'm outside. Outside of where? What? Outside the He's like, I'm outside your window. Open the door. Keep in mind, it's like 11:30 at night. I'm supposed to be asleep. Dormida. My dad had laser beams and window alarms to see if I would run away, which I never had that idea. So I was like, this man está loco for me to think that I'm gonna open the window for him. He's like, please just open it. I just want to see you. So me and my little 14-year-old undeveloped brain, I'm like, he just really likes me. Let me just open the window. I'm just gonna say hi y se va a ir. So I open the window and he's right outside my window. I'm like, boy, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I was just like driving around and I missed you so much and I just wanted to see you. This was so random too. Like, we would talk on and off like just as friends. Like it wasn't like he had texted me the whole day and we planned this. Like no, this was super random. Okay, you gotta dip, okay? Because if my parents se dan cuenta, if my dad se da cuenta, I'm never gonna see the light of day. Voy a ser como Rapunzel. They're gonna keep me locked up in here. No voy a tener teléfono. I'm not gonna have my iPad. I'm not gonna have nothing. Like I'm gonna be grounded for the rest of my life. So you gotta go. It's like, okay, fine, I'll leave, but you have to give me a kiss. I'm like, boy, I'm not gonna kiss you. Like, I don't like you like that. He's like, give me a kiss and I'll leave. So I'm like desperate. Estoy sudando because I'm like, my dad, just like, he can hear every sound, okay? He has telescopic hearing, okay? So me va a matar if he comes. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give him a kiss. So I give him a kiss so he could leave. Finally, he leaves. So this day, I have no idea how he knew which one was my house and which one was my exact window to my room. You know, my room tenía cortinas, the little windshield wipers, not wipers, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the little things to cover the windows. How did he know? Like, how did he know not to knock at my parents' windows? You know, because the house was huge with a bunch of windows. Unless he had been watching me in the house, and the activity in the house, to know whose window, whose room was what. And this is way worse than this, right? But this shakes me to my core. Todos los días, no sé. I'm like, what? Disbelief.
Get ready with me, the story of my babysitter from hell. Growing up, my parents were both working full-time, and I have 5 brothers and sisters, so we needed a little help. Parents decided to hire an au pair, and for the purposes of this story, we'll call her Abigail. Now, Abigail's job was pretty simple: take care of the kids while the parents are away at work. In the beginning, she was doing a great job, so her and my mom actually got really close. And at the time, my mom was actually going through a divorce, so Abigail was there for her more than ever. So my mom considered Abigail to be one of her best friends, but Abigail thought that they were something a little bit more. Or so we think. So some time passes after the divorce and my mom starts dating new people, and things start to get pretty serious between her and this one guy. So he moves into the house, and shortly after, a lot of really weird things start happening. We had a few cats at the time, and right after he moved in, they started peeing all over the house. So I guess my mom decided she'd had enough one day and then just moved the cats outside. But she comes home from work a few days later and notices that there's a new spot of pee on the carpet. Needless to say, everyone was baffled, but what didn't go unnoticed was that ever since he moved in, Abigail had been acting a little strange. So my mom decides to go and talk to Abigail, and when she gets to her room and stands outside the door, she smells this like god-awful stench coming from her room. Now, everyone had been told to stay away from Abigail's room because it was her space, but this time my mom went in. Abigail had been collecting empty containers, peeing in them, storing them in her room, and then pouring them all throughout our home. Now listen, you can make your own judgments as to why in the world she might have been doing this, but all I know is that we kicked Abigail out, let the cats back inside, and changed every single rug in our house.